Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome back. It's been a while. This is the Overcomer's Journey, and we're broadcasting live from St. Paul AME Church here in Raleigh, North Carolina. So, if you would, if you don't mind, take the time to share this event with family and friends so that they may tune in. Maybe you need to watch a few minutes and then decide, but hopefully you will share. It's been a while since we've been on the air, but we got regular scheduled programming on the way. We got some exciting guests. I won't give the secret away, but you do want to stay in tune and look at who's coming onto the show. We're excited about who we have here tonight. With me is Mr. Errol Reese, and you are the host of not a TV, but a radio show.
Yeah,
correct?
it's a little TV as well, but primary radio show.
Primary radio. And how long you been up?
We've been doing this for about 14 years. I've been in the space, yes.
Wow. And also with me is my pastor and friend, Reverend Dr. Larry McDonald. He's hosting with me tonight. We do have someone else coming in to join us a little bit later. They got stuck in traffic. But, Pastor, any opening remarks you have?
No, not really. I'm just trying to commend folk about understanding their walk with Christ. It's very important that you understand your walk. Don't worry about somebody else's walk. Don't worry about what somebody told you about a walk. Know your walk, because Romans 10:17 teaches us, so then faith come by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. And you need to hear what God is saying to you in the earth realm today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just want to tell you, too, this show tonight is totally unscripted. So we're coming from the heart, we're coming from the mind, and the soul will be guiding us along as we share some of the things that's important to us. And hopefully you'll find that they're important to you and actually motivate you to share what you may learn on this show this evening. So if you would, Mr. Earl, kind of share what it is you've been doing with your show, the type of show it is, some of the guests you've been on, all that good stuff.
Oh, man, thank you so much. And again, thanks for having me here. I was so excited when the Reverend Dr. Larry McDonald invited me. But it goes without saying, this has been a life of love for me. And it happened by somewhat happenstance. I'm a technology guy.
Okay.
I moved here to this area to work for IBM. And I worked for IBM for 18 years. I left IBM and started my own consulting technology company and doing a lot of things in the community. Then one day I was involved with something called the North Carolina Pro-Am, which was a major event out in Durham that brought together the community, a free event that had NBA guys from this area and college guys, first time at Duke, Carolina, North Carolina, Central across the board, and NC State. All came together for a 6-week league, and we did that. And during the process, I was over the sponsorships and media relations. So what happened one day, a lady asked me would I be interested in advertising on her show? And I was like, well, I'm not sure I need advertising because we're turning away about 2,000 people a night at the game. So advertising wouldn't be a problem. But during that conversation, she said, you know what, you seem like you're somebody I can use as part of my station. Just so happens the guy that was doing the talk radio show had a illness, and she asked me to come in and fill in for him. She called me like at 10 o'clock that morning. His show was at 1 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And I showed up at 1 o'clock, and on that show I had my best friend Phil Ford, I had Charles Barkley, and I had Johnny Dawkins on that show. So she looked at me, she's like, now wait a minute, I called you at 10 o'clock, and you were able to pull this type of power with guys on this show? And I said, yes. So she said, come back next week. And after that turned into getting my own show. Then she ended up selling the station. And Jim Goodman, who we all know here in Raleigh, he was on the board with me. And I went to him and told him, I said, you know what? I've been having a lot of fun doing this radio show called The Sports Shop.
Okay.
And one of the things I just want to bring to your attention, Mr. Goodman, is that you have a plethora of radio stations talking about football, primary, and basketball, ACC. And a lot of those guys you talk about, they look like me, but you don't have anybody on your station talking about it. He said, well, I hadn't really thought about that, but you're right. I said, well, I'd love to have an opportunity to come in and have my show here. He said, well, give me a demo. I gave him a demo on Monday. He called me on Wednesday. On that demo, I had Rasheed Wallace. I mean, I brought in the big guys in that way. And of course, it was a good demo. And about 3 days later, they gave us a show. We started off on weekends 14 years ago. Then we transitioned from that to doing Morning Drive, which we're doing right now. And just, I say this all the time, this shocks a lot of people.
What's that?
Reverend McDonald, is the fact that we do Morning Drive, and anywhere in the world, there's no other station that's doing Morning Drive for sports that's solely hosted by African Americans.
That's all right.
Yeah, and that's a good thing, but then it's not so much. It seems like it should be more of us, but yeah, we've been doing this called the Sports Shop. We're reaching KMAC, and we have Pam Tunstall-Smith on with us now, and it's a different kind of show. It's like you sitting at home in the backyard having conversations about sports, and but we have sports, we have entertainment, we have a lot of current events. So we pride ourselves on being authentic in terms of how we deliver our product, and we're so excited to be doing it. So that's what I've been doing.
Okay. And this is full time, right?
Oh, it's full
all the time. It consumes your whole day.
Oh, well, no, I work from, I get there about 6. We go on at 7. We're off at 9. Sometimes we record a little bit after the show. Then I go home by 11. I take a nap. Okay. So that's my day. Then I get them to do some IT stuff too. I still do a little bit of IT consulting. But this is primarily what I do.
What about the prep time?
The prep time, you'd be surprised. My prep time is what I do. What I'll be doing tomorrow night, watching games and just following things. And sometimes when we have some current things happening, we have to drill down. We have a producer that provides us with a lot of talking points, and we don't get those. But yeah, and we're a lot of things with all of the like improv, comedy, as well as Good Night. So all the entertainers that come through Raleigh, majority of them come on our show as well. So that we have a lot of, you can name anybody from our Center Your Heart. They've been in our studio. Earth, Wind & Fire, Vernon White, Philip Bailey, they've been in our studio. It's been like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you explain what it's like to work in your passion, something that you love, as opposed to just working a job?
That's a great question. I get that question all the time. You really don't work. I really just so excited each and every morning when I think about what we're doing, because it doesn't feel like work. Now, sometimes we got to drill down when there's some really hot topics going on. We have to prep and to be obedient to what we do. But yeah, it's really something that I love doing, and I don't call it work. We've been doing it 14 years, so you're like, man, how can you get up every morning and do that? On the weekends, I wake up at 6 o'clock because it's kind of hard to get your mind on that. But it's something that I love to do, and we touch a lot of people. We're community oriented. That's what we're all about. Community is part of our DNA. And anything that's associated with somebody that's doing something good. We've been involved with St. Paul in a lot of ways, and we want to continue to kind of build that relationship. So, we just decided to be doing what we do, and excited about doing it.
So, Earl, listen to all the things that you're doing.
Yes.
And how doors open up for you. Tell me how you feel about God playing a role in opening those doors and allowing you to be in the presence of some of the people that you're in the presence of, and how you feel your relationship with God is developing.
Well, but that's an easy question to answer. I'm originally from Birmingham, Alabama. I can tell you right now, it was July the 10th when I walked down the aisle of the church, and I said I want to be baptized. I think I was 7 years old. You have to understand, Mount Pilgrim Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama, on 55th Street, my whole family, we was locked in. My dad, my mom, my brother, my sister, we all sung in the choir. And I mean, and God has been part of my life and our lives since I can remember. And understanding, the peace and valleys of life and having something to put on, I know God had to be behind me. I mean, my life hasn't been perfect in terms of everything I wanted to do, but I thank God for the things I've done. And I look at him as being my shepherd through the wilderness, if you will, to allow me to be what I can be. And I just, my father and mother always tell me that God, they always talks about God just wants you to be kind and be fair to people. And when you're kind and fair to people, good things happen. And one thing before I leave this earth, when I leave this earth, people, one thing they could say about me, that I was kind and I was fair, and I thank God for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with that thought in mind, if you were talking to a young fella today, a young athlete, what would you tell them about keeping God in your life and making him first?
It's interesting you say that. Today we had a conversation about Bryce Young. Bryce Young was benched yesterday. Major story here in Raleigh. And they interviewed him, and they said, you know, do you have your confidence? Your confidence has been shattered. And he talked about the fact that, well, I got God, so that's my confidence. And that's why I would share with a lot of young athletes right now, going, because there are so many people pulling at you, so many distractions, so many things that make you kind of lean the wrong direction. But if you have God, you know, as your co-pilot, so to speak, you're gonna be just fine. And when people realize that, they realize that, you know, you can do all things through Him. And I really truly believe that, and that's been my motto all my entire life.
Okay.
And as these young people come through the door, I'm assuming it's been over time, right?
Yes.
You've seen a lot of people,
Yes.
right?
Uh-huh.
So over time, the discussion about God, their
Mhm.
faith and belief, does it happen on a regular? Is it more now or is it less? How's that going?
I think it's more now. I think in the last 5 or 6 years, we had a lot of, you know, with COVID and a lot of things that happen in this country. The political spectrum, what's going on, we could get into that a little bit. People tend to know that, you know, you got to walk, you want to walk the right path, and God is a leader in all that space. And if you focus on that, and it's really something simple. I mean, if you keep your eyes on the prize, so to speak, I think your outcomes would be definitely in the positive sense, and your desired outcomes will meet your goals, and I think that's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And saying that, sometimes I think I see some people, they put on religion like it's costume jewelry. It's something that you do. It's something that is expected. So you play the part, but there's no true meaning. There's no connection to what it's really all about. And on our show, we like to touch on things like that. You know, it's serious business. You know, your relationship with God and, you know, the next life. I mean, that's nothing to play with. So you need to understand when you're on national TV and you're at a game and I give all of it to God. Do you really believe that? Do you mean that? It's important. It's not an act.
You know, I think that's interesting you say that. I think there's a lot, majority of the people that I listen to like that, I think majority of them, they're very genuine with it. I think they really truly believe that. And in particular younger people, and that's good to see, because I think as we go through the cycles of life, I think they realize that you can't get there by yourself.
Can't get there by yourself.
And God has to be part of your scenario, has to be part of your team, if you will. If not, I mean, you may have some successes, but overall, you know, you're going to need Him to get over the hump, and I truly believe that.
And talking about that, Earl, with, you know, when you look at the Pew study and all of those studies that are being done, and they're saying people are leaving church. What do you say to someone that's disenchanted with coming to church because they don't see church as being a part of them? How do you try to get them steered back in the right direction?
That's an interesting question. I think you have a lot of naysayers out there too as well, and I think you know, you got people, a lot of noise, and people, they're looking for other things to inspire them and to lean towards. You know, it can be music, it could be entertainment, and they don't feel that, you know, the church the church of the Lord is not the place for them. And I tell them that, you know, at the end of the day, again, you're talking for a guy that grew up in this space, a guy that was a minister of music for about 10 years at a church. You know, you're talking to a guy that played for the male chorus for a minute, you know. I don't think you knew that.
I didn't know you had musical talent.
Don't be thinking about it. Don't be trying to recruit me.
Okay.
But my point is that it's inevitable that it has to be part of your life. It's a fabric of your life. And I tell people, because, you know, one of the things that I do miss from time to time is that the church is a community too. When things are good, things are bad, the church is a community, and you can, all aspects of the church, the word, if you will, the camaraderie, the people that they really genuinely care about you. So the community, you miss that community if you're not part of a church, and I think that's an important and integral part of your life. It's a church.
All right. Great safety net to have.
You know,
It is.
thinking about where your roots are,
Mm-hmm.
Alabama.
Yes, sir.
Thinking about the current climate politically and knowing your roots in Birmingham,
Yes, sir.
the bombings that took place and all of that. What do you say to young folks about going out to vote?
Well, people die for this opportunity. And I remember, and I tell this, I don't quite remember. I remember on my dad's shoulder down at Kelly Ingram Park when they was marching. And I was really, really young. I didn't know what it was all about. I remember this cop coming up to me when he was marching, offered me a piece of gum for some reason. I stuck my hand out for my dad and said, no, you're not sure what they're trying to do. And that was the climate where, it's almost like hatred at the highest level. I'm talking about the mecca of civil rights right there in Birmingham, where Martin Luther King had been put in jail. And I can tell you 16th Street Baptist Church, I can write a book on it because I grew up in that environment. Mm-hmm. So people died for that. They made sacrifices for that. And the ability where now we can go out and exercise our constitutional right to change the world, I think it's important. So when you look back on our ancestors and people that were before us that paved the way to have this opportunity, don't take it for granted. Exercise the opportunity. And that's what I would tell them.
What do you say to young folk that tell you, Mr. Reese, there's no reason to vote. We don't get anything out of vote.
Well, I tell them, but if you don't vote, you definitely won't get anything out of it. I tell them that, faith without work, right? So, you can have faith things are going to happen a certain way, but you don't put the work in to go and make a change, it's going to remain the same. Insanity is that doing the same thing you always done, expecting a different outcome, and that's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that sounds good to me because we're about the same age.
Yeah,
I understand all of the things that happen in Birmingham and Montgomery and all of those places. And I'm always telling people that God has always used the black church as a part of his mainstream to get people not just inducted into the voting process, but a mainstay in the process. And because demographics are changing in this country, I went to a symposium over at UNC talking about the black and browning community.
Okay.
And they were talking about that, and this was over 10 years ago.
Wow.
And they were talking about there will be some changes that will be coming that won't be for the black and brown community because folks are going to try to take your right to vote away. What do you say to a young person that doesn't understand that they're trying to remove or reduce the number of people that are voting with voter ID and changing precincts and making it tougher for you to vote? What do you say to people?
I say pay attention to what's going on because, to your point, they're changing the demarcation lines in terms of what areas are covered based on they're changing lines in their favor, and it's almost like you're sitting there thinking like, man, you don't think we have a brain in terms of we know what you're doing, and be vocal about those things. Because it's important that the young people understand that they're going to put, if you will, tools in place, laws in place to limit people look like us ability to make a difference, and you make a difference with your vote. So I think pay attention, be vocal, be an advocate of doing the right thing, and sometimes you have to be loud. Sometimes, and even we had Black Lives Matter, the situation a few years ago. I was all about the young people leading into the fact that things like George Floyd and all those things they come together under one roof, where we have to be vocal, we have to be intentional about what we're doing. Because if you don't, we're gonna be sitting on the sidelines like, what happened? Why we ain't get enough votes? Well, because we didn't challenge some of the rules, some of the laws they have in place. You have to speak up, and I think it's important that we continue to be vocal, continue to be intentional. I think young people, more so than anybody, that whole segment of the population, when they're out there and they're energized, I think people hear them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to understand what you don't know.
Yep.
And if you're listening and you don't know what we're talking about in terms of the importance of voting and what's going on in your own community, what's going on at the town hall, what's going on with the local, if that's foreign to you,
right,
you need to turn on the switch and engage.
Yeah.
Then you can talk about it when you learn something about it and you know what you're doing. But at the local level, we have got to wake up and have those conversations.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I tell people all the time. Now, the highest level in this country is being president of this country, right, of the United States now. And we got an unbelievable race going on right now. And it blows my mind. I don't care what side you're on, but when I talk to young males that look like me, it's an interesting conversation we're having. And it blows my mind because they have a whole different perspective of, well, I'm not sure whether they're interested in voting for a female or not, but they just, their mindset is just, TikTok and they've been influenced by social media a lot. They sit there 24 hours a day listening to that, and they get influenced on that, as opposed to talking to people like us or the people that's been around the corner a couple of times, have some knowledge, have some wherewithal to share some of that knowledge. But without that, man, they are just unbelievable, just in a whole different space. And I pray that regardless of whoever you want to vote, make some informed decisions. I think informed is the operative word. Make some informed decisions and don't go on because this is what you saw on TikTok.
Right.
I think that's one of the challenges that we have.
Yeah. And that's what I tell people. Make sure that you understand the platform.
Yes.
Don't understand the platform that you hear on social media.
Yeah. Understand
the platform that's out there and listen for the backdrop. And in all things, if you go back to Hosea 4:6, my people perish because of lack of knowledge.
Right.
And then it goes on to say, not knowledge they don't have, but knowledge they rejected. Rejected knowledge is dangerous.
Yes.
When you reject something that you ought to have, because if you think about it, Solomon said there's nothing new under the sun. What goes around comes around. And so what we have to understand, the things that we experience as young boys, growing up in Fayetteville and Birmingham.
Yes, exactly.
And even in Franklinton, North Carolina.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We have to be not just a visionary, we have to be a sounding board to cry out, to let them know things haven't always been this way.
There you go. Exactly.
Things have changed a little bit, but we're almost back to where it was.
And that is so clear. I mean, it's like going backwards, as opposed to like you're hustling backwards, so to speak, as opposed to moving forward. And you're right. I mean, you close your eyes and open, and you think you're back in 1965, literally. I mean, anyway, yeah, it's a tough time, and I think we have to take it serious. I think we got 50 days going forward. And back to your point, though, yeah, I was talking about the president is the highest level, but I think politics are very much local. Commissioners, mayor, that's what things really, the mayor, a governor, that's what things get changed. I tell people all the time, the culture of the country is based on, and the leadership is at the highest level, but when things get done, they get done at the local level.
That's right.
And you better focus on that.
That's right.
Don't take out the prize. And that's what I've been preaching.
City council,
mayor,
county commissioner.
That's what the changes are.
Board of Education.
That's what it changes.
And we need to make sure.
That's exactly right.
Because when you think about it, and I'll say it this way, our legislators just appropriated $450 million to go to private schools.
Yep.
But the law doesn't say we have to give money to private schools. It says that every child is supposed to receive a free and appropriate education. If I got to pay a nickel, that's not free.
Right.
100% right.
And so what I have to do, having been in education over 40 years.
That's right.
I have to look at this.
That's right.
This is the same thing that happened in Birmingham, at the University of Alabama,
Yep.
the same thing that happened at UNC Chapel Hill, the same thing that happened at NC State. It's going back.
Yeah.
Because when you look at giving $450 million to a private school, our school system is not looking like the country. Our school system is looking like one part of the country. And what we have to do as people, sticking with God's principle. God said, I'm no respecter of person. What he's done for others, he'll do the same for you.
Yeah.
So what I need to do is make sure that as this thing is going on, that I'm taking care of the poor. I'm taking care of the homeless. I'm taking care of the hungry. I'm taking care of the needy. I'm taking care of all those people that need me to be what they need, you know, as Fred Hammond said,
Yeah.
be a fence all around me. And he said every day.
Yes.
And so what we need to do is we need to educate folks.
Mm-hmm.
We need to teach folks. And we need to guide folks in a way that's right, not a way that seemeth right, because the Bible says there's a way that seemeth right unto man, but the end thereof are the ways of death.
Wow. You said a lot there. As you was talking, it reminded me of my oldest daughter, Erica. She's the executive director of the Durham Public Schools Foundation. And she's been on me hard about exactly what you talked about, how they're trying to get, you know, they're trying to create these private schools with state money.
Right.
And you know what's going to happen with that? People will selectively put, you know, certain people that look a certain way in certain schools and leave the public schools to everybody else. And that's not fair. So just pay attention to that. Pay attention to the Board of Governors, the DEI, taking DEI out of the higher ed and places like that. There's a reason why they're doing that. So they're systematic trying to separate, in my opinion, a lot of us in a lot of ways, and education is one of the main ways that they're trying to do that. So I agree with everything you said.
Okay. And welcome. Glad you could join us. This is Rachel. She's our other host tonight. Rachel, Earl, have you met Earl before?
Hi, Rachel.
Reese.
Nice to meet you as well.
Special guest tonight.
Yeah, I'm not sure special, but I'm your guest. Yeah, right.
He is. When I talked to him on the phone, I didn't know whether to call him, you know, doctor, sir, master,
Yeah, right.
or
Okay.
this and that, and he's so full of knowledge.
Yeah,
but
yeah, right.
just jump in.
Earl helped us with Men's Day. He helped Brother Arthur Petaway.
Yeah, great guy.
With
Yeah.
Men's Day. He's just finding out that the same committee is coming back again for the next Men's Day in March.
Well, there it is. I guess I know that now. That's right. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, good to meet you
Good to meet you.
as well.
So Earl,
Yeah.
as our co-host is warming up, I'm gonna
Okay.
give one more question.
Sure.
You've had the opportunity to meet and talk to a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
from our friend Phil Ford to Rasheed Wallace, and all of those folks.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from Birmingham to where you are now, tell me how you feel God has played a role in it.
I mean, he played a significant role in it because I pride myself in saying that my network is my net worth. In other words, it's about the people of my network is allow me to be valuable and really impact people significantly. And I think God played a significant role in that. Everything I touch, all of my successes from going to IBM and the first day I was there, a lady told me she didn't think I was going to make it. Then about 5 years later, she ended up working for me. It's amazing. From playing football at Alabama A&M, where I went to undergrad at, and my coach told me they're going to put my scholarship, and a few years later, I'm in the Hall of Fame. So I think God played their role in that. It's like it allowed me to surprise people. Okay, surprise the lady who told me that I was going to make it. Surprise my coach, who ended up being my mentor later on. To surprise people saying, "Well, this radio thing is not going to work." And 14 years later, I'm still doing that. So my point is, God has played a pivotal role in that. Without Him, none of that would have happened. He brought people into my life to allow me to do those things, to allow me to be successful at IBM, to allow me to be successful in college, computer science major, and go and see the world, living in France and Italy and all those places. God was part of all that, and I put Him first because of that. And I cherish the fact that He covered me in that way and allowed me to do that.
So with that thought in mind, we're going to shift gears to Rachel.
Okay.
As a young African-American female,
Yeah.
we're going to let her talk to you about some of the things that we did cover while she was fighting traffic.
Yeah, I got caught in that same traffic too, by the way.
So-
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, she's going to talk about it from a different perspective because she is younger than we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say young, but younger than we are.
So just to piggyback off of what you said, I feel like in this Christian walk, for me specifically as a young adult, God has a way of giving us challenges so that we can testify later on about his goodness and his blessings and things like that. And I think what you said really exemplified that. You said God put people in your life who, the naysayers, and things like that. And I feel like those people as a Christian or just as a human in general, the naysayers are just as important as the people who support you, because you can, later on testify, about what God has done. And I feel like that's been a really important part of my Christian walk. So I've just learned to kind of take what God has given me and just use that to my benefit and have a positive outlook on that. So I really appreciate you sharing that part of your journey.
Yeah, I always talk about a setback is a setup for a comeback.
Absolutely.
And the setback could be God telling you it's not your time. I tell people it's not your time, but timing is everything, right?
Yes.
It's not your time, and when it's your time, it's your time. And I approach life that way. My dad used to say you got to treat everything with the same temperament. Don't get too high, don't get too low.
Right.
And I try to practice that all the time. And I think having God in your life, you feel comfortable that the sun's going to shine one day.
Right.
It may be raining now, but the sun's going to shine, and that's part of the whole circle of life, if you will. And I truly believe that, and that's been my motto, my mantra since I've been living.
Yeah, I agree. I like that.
We had talked earlier about young people and voting and feeling like their vote don't count. In your circle, your young people, what is the conversation like?
So it's funny you mentioned that. So my mom actually works for the Board of Elections. So I've had different conversations with older adults and then like among my peers and stuff like that. A lot of people that I come in contact with still do have this perception that their vote essentially doesn't count. But here's my thing. This is what I try to tell them. I'm like, look, people literally died. They lost their lives just for you to be able to vote. If nothing else matters, even if you feel deep down it doesn't count, do it just because of that.
Mm-hmm.
That alone should be encouraging enough, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For you to do it. And, I always encourage my friends to vote. Like I said, my mom works for the Board of Elections, so I'm covered in voting. So, it's definitely important. And we do have conversations here and there about it. Of course, this election that's coming up is a very sensitive one because there's a lot of controversy going on, especially with the male and female, candidates and stuff like that. So there's, issues, and I won't go too deep into that because, politics can get a little sticky. But as far as our votes counting, like I said, I've seen both sides. The conversations definitely do happen. But like I said, I try to preach to my friends, if this is how you feel, just remember those, who died for your opportunity to do that. So just go off of that alone.
Absolutely. Pastor, if you would, we got the promo video loaded up to run, but we have a conference coming up where we're talking to young people. You want to take just a quick second and we'll run that promo video.
Yes. Next Friday, we kick off the Youth Legacy Conference. And at that conference, that was a brain trust of the young folk from St. Paul. Even though pastors guiding them and trying to make sure everything's done in the right manner, for the most part, they're doing everything. Friday night, and you're more than welcome to come. I want you to know we're looking forward to having all of you as a part of this Youth Legacy Conference. Friday night at 7 p.m., we have a young man that I've come to know real well. As a matter of fact, I just recently found out that Tony Lee is on tour with Kirk Franklin.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so that tells you some things about him. He will be here actually next Thursday because Kirk Franklin will be here Thursday, and he's part of that concert. But he's going to preach Friday night. Immediately following Tony Lee will be Kalante Gavin. You know, Kalante Gavin is the minister of music down at Dewey Smith Church in Atlanta, Georgia. I've had Kalante come before when I was pastoring up in Roxborough. You're talking about a young man that can electrify a church, particularly with the young folks. We're trying to make this as youth-centered as possible. Then on Saturday morning, we're going to have a youth panel discussion where we're talking to the youth about the different things that they face. As a matter of fact, one of my former students, Daria Robertson Griffiths, is going to make an appearance here. Daria does a lot of things with young people, including counseling. And she has her own business, but she's coming to Raleigh to help our young people because she realizes that there are a lot of things that are going on. But we have a lot of young ministers that will be here on that Saturday from 10 to roughly about 3 p.m. And we're going to talk about anything. We have a moderator, and we're going to do a lot of things. Then on Sunday morning, Malik Thomas from Payne AME Church in Baltimore, Maryland, young man, absolutely great, outstanding preacher will be here, and he's going to minister to us that morning. So it's going to be a very, very great time. I'm looking forward. Earl, of course, I'm going to be looking for you to help us out. But you don't want to miss this.
Aaliyah, could you go ahead and roll that clip? It's just over a minute or so. We'll be quiet as it plays. Thank you, volume.
This ain't no ordinary worship. This ain't no ordinary song, yeah.
Get ready for an electrifying event this September 27th, 28th, and 29th, 2024.
And so we put people around us who we think will always be better than us because we don't want them to be able to leave us and do things better. But is there anybody in the house today that knows you need to get some friends that make you run harder? You need to get some friends that make you go fast. You need to make some friends because when you understand the greatness that God has called you to be, then you want folks around you that can be with you for the journey. Have I got anybody in here that you know that God has called you to be great, that God has called you to be special, that God has called you to do something wonderful? If you believe that in the house today, then somebody make a joyful noise.
We're addicted to our method. We're not addicted to Christ. We're addicted to our doctrine. We're not addicted to Christ. We're addicted to the way things have been. Let me tell a story about a man from Galilee. Oh, he healed the lame, caused the blind to see.
Okay. You don't want to miss it. And there's absolutely no cost. All you need to do is go to our website. That's sprchurch.org. That's sprchurch.org. And right on the middle of the page, there'll be a place to click on the codes and actually register. people who register before the events get started, you're going to get some primary seating right down front. So if you don't have a ticket, you'll be able to sit somewhere. So take advantage of it. Come out on Saturday and bring some young people and share this with as many people as possible.
And the good thing about Saturday is we will be serving an out-of-sight meal on Saturday. So if nothing else, while you're learning, you'll get fed.
Yeah, with Cavante, what's the first guy you mentioned?
Galante.
I think I saw him at the MLK breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. Yeah, this guy's outstanding. So and he's with Kirk Franklin, as you mentioned. Yeah, this guy, he's unbelievable talent. I seen him already. He's incredible. But hey, Reverend Dr. McDonald, anything that we can do, let me know. We can run promos on the show. We can talk about it on the show. We can do a read on the show. We can have you come in and do exactly what you just did on the show. So I'll open that up to you. I offer that to you. So I would love to have you do that.
Let me know when you want me to.
Okay. Yeah, you can come in studio and talk about it. You can call in. It's early in the morning. I won't put that much on you, but
I'm up early in the morning.
Okay. Well, no, we're gonna make that happen. And Monday will be fine. We'll talk about it. But I would love to offer that to you.
Yeah, Monday morning.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so there you go. Anything I can do, because again, we all about meaning the sports shop. We all about the community. But me personally, I'm all about everything I just saw on there, and it's a reason why I'm here today. That God made no mistakes. Remember this now. I truly believe that. That's something that I'll take with me forever, and it's a reason why I'm here to be a part of this. I'm so happy, and the fact that we can assist in any kind of way, as I share with you all the time. One of the things I try to pride myself in is when I talk to somebody, and just do this sometimes, I encourage people to do this. We can talk to somebody about any conversation. At the end of the conversation, just ask this question: how can I help you?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it blows people away. What do you mean? No, I just want to know, is there anything I can do to help you? And I'm offering that to you, and I definitely would love to help you guys.
We'll be there Monday.
Okay, there you go.
We'll be on there. I'd bring Rachel and them, but they got to go to work.
Well, no, we're going to make this happen. Yeah, definitely.
So if you would, what do you think people need to do, especially if you haven't registered to vote,
right?
Please make sure you get out and get that taken care of. It's not as hard as you think it is.
So didn't we have registration day like a couple of days ago? It was like voter registration day for the people who had not registered yet.
We still have it going on. If you have not registered, you can come to St. Paul and register to vote. Usually it's on Saturday and Sunday because we realize there are more people free on the weekend than there are during the weekday. But if you are busy during the weekend, and you can come Saturday and Sunday, just come to the back door of St. Paul, ring the doorbell, and we'll come and take care of you.
If you will, Rachel, I got a question for you.
Sure. Okay.
So your male friends, where are they on this whole election process and registration? I mean, do they feel like you mentioned earlier that their vote doesn't count? Because I've been struggling with a lot of younger males that have that attitude, and for various reasons, which a lot of them don't quite understand. Yeah. But what's been your experience?
So among my male friends, honestly, I'll just say, especially the ones who are African American, they already feel like they don't count anyway, whether it comes to voting, anything. So those type of conversations I've overheard, along with, the women who also feel, similar, but I feel like African American men, they already don't feel like they count anyway. So in ways I try to preach the same thing and try to encourage them in any way that I can. And I feel like at the end of the day, no matter who's in office, you have to remember that God is always going to be involved. So, just on the Christian walk, because I do have a lot of Christian friends, I just try to encourage them and let them know that, hey, regardless of who's in that seat, God is the leader of your life, and you just have to navigate the best way you can, kind of give it to God. So, yeah, definitely sending encouragement to the African-American men, especially during this very sensitive election, for sure.
Wow.
Yes.
And we got something else coming up, Pastor. You remember? Souls to the Polls?
Yes. Early voting will start around the first of the month, I think it's. And so what we're going to do is we're going to try to get as many people as we can to meet us here at St. Paul. Meet us here at St. Paul, and we're going to Chavis Park because that's an early voting registration voting site. And we're going to go to Chavis Park, and we're going to take great numbers to Chavis Park to vote. We're going to vote. If you live in Wake County, you can go to Chavis Park during early election because it doesn't matter where you go during early election as long as you're in the county. And as Earl said, you need to make sure that you're voting in the local election.
Right.
Because whether you vote in the local election will dictate what's happening locally. You don't like what's going on around you, the local election plays that part.
Yeah.
You don't like what's going on in the state,
The local election.
the local election plays a part in that.
Yeah.
You don't like what's going on nationally, the national election plays a part. You know, one of the things being African American and history major that I've always told folks, most of y'all think that the President of the United States has the most power. The President of the United States can only invoke an executive order that lasts for 90 days. After 90 days, he has to either, or she, has to repeat the executive order or Congress has to vote it into law. So that's why it's important to vote for your local legislators as well as your national legislators, because the governor falls within the same parameters as the President of the United States. They're just the face. The people that's making all the policies and the laws in North Carolina, it happens on Jones Street. In nationally, it happens on Pennsylvania Avenue. And so what we have to do is, you know, particularly going back to Rachel's statement, if you don't like what you're seeing, change the people that are there. The only way you can change the people that are there is to vote. Your vote counts. Your vote counts. If your vote didn't count, they wouldn't be trying to implement so many policies to keep you from voting. Let me say that one more time. They wouldn't be trying to implement so many policies and so many restrictions to keep you from voting. But your vote counts. And you have to make people around you realize I'm voting and I'm voting for what I want. If I don't get it, I'll come back the next time and vote it again. But in between that, I'm going to talk to the people that are in my circle to get them to understand the importance of voting. So between now and early election, you need to talk to the people in your circle and get them to understand the importance of voting. You know, one of the things that Earl hadn't really brought up, Earl and I have been knowing each other, 15, 20 years.
Yep.
And one of the things that Earl talks about is he doesn't say, who did you vote for? He will always say, the reason we have the policies we have, and the same thing Rachel just brought up, is because the people we voted for. You don't like what's going on, African-American young men? Look at who you're voting for. And Bishop Reginald T. Jackson, who's the new bishop of the 2nd Episcopal District, made this statement. He said, the thing we have to do is we have to vote for people who are trying to get us stuff as opposed to voting people because of social media or what they look like. Where do they stand and what do they stand for, and does it benefit us? If what they stand for doesn't benefit us and what they're saying doesn't benefit us, then we need to make sure they're not representing us.
Well said.
In terms of benefiting us too, is that there's a right way,
Yep.
and there's a wrong way. And if it doesn't sound right, it probably is not right.
Probably not gonna happen.
And you know, most of us, we were brought up on wrong and right. Vote your conscience.
Yes.
Look at what these people are talking about.
Yes.
My younger brother has this thing. He say all the time, "You get what you accept."
Exactly.
You know, so sometimes we're accepting stuff because of a lack of knowledge. We don't know no better.
Right.
Then we got to look at, you know, who's in our Rolodex. Well, oh, that's old terminology. Let me scratch
Yeah.
that. Who's in our cell phone?
Who's in your cell phone?
Who's our cell phone? Do we have the phone number of our local commissioner?
Right.
Do we have the phone number of a representative in Congress? Do we have a phone number of an activist in the community that's about change? Can we talk to somebody about how do we make a difference? How do I turn this around? What can I do? If we're not having those conversations, but instead we're just letting life pass us by, you know, it's somebody else's problem. You know, it don't have nothing to do with me. It does. It does have something to do. Your inactivity is a problem.
That's exactly right.
You know, and to go back to Rachel again, my mother wasn't on the board of elections. However, she might as well have been.
I know that's right.
You know, part of the reason that I vote my conscience and vote in every election is because of my mother. And she would always say, boy, we fought too hard
Yep.
to get to where we are for you to sit at home. And she used some choice words for you to sit at home and do nothing.
Yeah.
And so we have to make a difference.
Mm.
You know, as our former Bishop James Levert Davis, when he said, dare to make a difference. And then he finally ended before he left here and said, we are the difference. And so as young people, you're the difference. As older people, you're the difference. It doesn't matter which age bracket you fit in, you're the difference. Because one can move 1,000, but two can move 10,000. If we unite in this cause and get out and do what we need to do, we can make a difference. You know, one of the things about our current bishop, Bishop Reginald T. Jackson, you know, folks, when they heard that he was here, the folks in Georgia were glad he was here because he was the one that changed Georgia, because he got out and he talked to the AME churches and all the churches about voting. And so he's off and running. I've gotten more calls since Bishop Jackson landed in the 2nd Episcopal District from people that are running for office that want to come to St. Paul. And then I've had people say, well, did you call so-and-so? No, I didn't call nobody. I'm not calling you to come talk to St. Paul. If you want to talk to St. Paul, you can call and talk to me, and I'll screen who gets to talk. You know, I know the law says that we have to give an equal opportunity
Same in
to
my
everybody.
business, too. Yes, same in
But,
my business.
you know, one of my rules is you can come, but when you get to talk, it's going to be right before the benediction. You're going to hear that word. Because if you remember, only the foolishness of the gospel gets you saved. So what I want is for you to know where we're coming from before you get up and talk to our people.
Okay.
I agree.
We got about 5 minutes left, but we're going to finish out. We're going to take advantage of that whole 5. But one thing that I was thinking and listening to you talking about what our leaders in the past, the kings, for example, what they've been through. And sometimes there's a disconnect with young people not knowing who those leaders were. Even though they go to school, they don't know, you know, they're not teaching history like they used to in the schools. But there's some people that paid some sacrifices that if they knew what we're doing, our young people now, today, what did I do this for?
Yes.
You know, they went through hell. They went through pain. Absolutely. They went through sacrifice. They faced death threats. Some of them were killed. I mean, their family was placed at risk, also that we could vote, that we could have a say in our life each and every day. And sometimes, you know, when you think about it, your parents, you'd be like, my mom and dad, they're doing this and that for me. Well, that's in your house. That's your mom and dad, right? Mm-hmm. But there's some other people that paid prices long ago so that your mom and dad could do what they're doing today.
Exactly. say.
If it wasn't for these people, these leaders of the past, our life would be so much different. So we have to honor them by getting out to vote. We have to honor them by getting involved with our community so that we'll know what's going on, so that we can begin to make a difference. You know, for those young guys who say, my vote don't count, it won't if you don't vote. It won't count.
Right.
It won't count. So we have to wake up and realize that we got to do better. We got to do better. And if you don't know who some of these leaders are, you can still find some good information on Google.
Yeah.
Look up Dr. King and some of our leaders. Look at past civil rights leaders and sit down and take a few minutes and just look at what they have done for us all.
You know, thinking of what you were saying, James, if you think about if you don't vote, you did vote.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the person that got in office because you didn't vote. Again, going back to Bishop Reginald T. Jackson, 50,000 people in Georgia didn't vote in the African American community. Now, they were able to overcome, but just think what would have happened if those 50,000 had voted.
Right.
So your vote makes a difference, whether you're in Rachel's circle, James' circle, Earl's circle, or my circle. Your vote makes a difference.
Because I think that particularly in the national election, I think the winner won by 11,000 votes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Wow.
11,000 votes and 50,000 didn't even vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't do this thing with, you know, that Will Smith got getting jiggy with it, trying to get smart and hip with it.
Right.
I'm going to just vote for, write in somebody and vote for them, just casting away a vote for no reason, no call. That is crazy.
That's like not voting.
That's like not voting
That's
at
like not
all.
voting. I agree.
You know, we're here at St. Paul. We're trying to mobilize all of the voters. We're also trying to figure out who are the registered voters that didn't vote. You know, one of the things that I think, particularly in the minority community and the poor community, that we don't understand is whether you vote or not, people can go to the election board and find out whether you voted.
Yeah.
That's public knowledge.
Yeah, it is.
And so what you need to do is you need to exercise your right rather than spend all day on a corner. Go vote.
Right.
And I'm going to mention one more time about Souls to the Poll. I encourage you to check out St. Paul's website because we want you there. It doesn't matter if you voted already. On that day, we're going to march down there. We're going to do a caravan. Cars. We're not going to march. We're getting in our cars and we're going to drive. We're going to flood that place, Chavis Park. They're going to see us, and we're going to draw attention. It's about togetherness. It's about showing that we're coming together for this cause. And we need you to plug in and get ready, and let's put some gas in the car and get on down.
And we need you on September the 27th, 28th, and the 29th to be a part of an amazing young folk production called Youth Legacy, Preparing Our Legacy. What are you doing to prepare for the future so when people like James Branch, Earl Reese, and myself are no longer able or on the scene and it's dropped into your lap, how do you keep the legacy going?
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep the African Methodist Episcopal Church going? Because, believe it or not, the AME Church is what got it all started with Richard Allen. You know, the AME Church, one of the first organized black churches in the country. Even before slavery ended, the AME Church was in existence. 1787.
Yeah, long time and still active. But on that note, our time is up. This has been an amazing show. Would everybody agree to that?
Oh, I loved it, man.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Time went by so fast, but
It always does.
we're gonna bring it to a close. Do you have any final words?
Well, I got just one couple of things. Rachel, thank you for your stewardship and your walk and what you're doing. James, thank you for your organization, just making me feel comfortable. This is just unbelievable. And Reverend Dr. McDonald, thank you for your leadership. Seriously, when you ask me to get involved, I'm open, I'm willing, and you know that, and I always will be. I love your leadership here. I love what you're doing, and it's making a difference and making a difference in my life. So I appreciate the time. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing here. Thank you. I appreciate
We'll
it.
see you on Monday morning.
Let's see you on Monday morning. Right. Exactly.
Everyone, you still have time to like and share if you're watching on YouTube and Facebook. Go ahead and get this stream out, and by sharing the link and letting other people tune in later. And thank you for watching. We know it was short notice. You didn't know it was coming. But anyway, that's the remarkable part of being able to click on those links and share this live recorded video at a later time. So have a good night. We'll see you next time.